Hey guys, welcome back to Be a Creative. It is tag number 7 in my 8 Crazy Tags of Hanukkah series, and this tag was inspired by and is dedicated to my very dear friend who just recently started getting into the crafting and art journaling world. Now, she lives in Zambia, and it's a little hard for her to find crafting supplies, so she has basically become the MacGyver of crafting. You could give her some shoelaces, a Q-tip, and a spatula, and she's going to give you back something amazing. Her very first page that she ever did was done using masking tape and popsicle sticks. I was so impressed and just inspired by her ingenuity that I decided to incorporate some of those things into this tag. And as you can see, our candles are made from popsicle sticks. So big shout out to my friend for the inspiration, and keep crafting, girl, because your work is amazing. You're going to need some things. Some mixed media paper by Strathmore, a tag. We're going to use the mixed media paper to make our focal point, and then we're going to use the tag to back it. The distress inks in a variety of different colors, I just randomly pulled some out, but use whatever colors that you really like. You're going to need some ink blending tools. There they are. You're also going to need a paintbrush and some acrylic paint. I'm using the Dylusions brand because I don't really use those as much as I ought to. The color palettes are fantastic and they're a lot of fun. So I decided for today I'm using my Dylusions. Oh, that totally rhymed. That's awesome. I digress. You're going to need some popsicle sticks, word to my friend, and you're also going to need some distress resist spray. Now, I'm going to use a plastic bag to spray that in because I've lost my spray box. I don't really know how somebody loses a spray box, but I did. Those are our sentiments that I've cut out from the Cricut. Let's get started. First thing is lay down some distress ink. Now, this was not done with any type of intention other than just getting a whole bunch of color down. I wanted to make kind of a galaxy background, something, starry sky, night. You see a lot of those really pretty distressing galaxies, and I was like, you know what, I can do that. I'm going to try that. So that's what I did. I'm putting the first color down, and again, like I said, there is no rhyme or reason about this at all. I'm just randomly putting color down. I'm having to go like a little heavy into my ink pad. You may see like I'm really digging into it. You probably won't have to do that. All of my ink pads have been used so much that they really need to be re-inked. And if you're thinking about investing in like getting the whole set of the distress inks or the distress oxides, one, you're making a very good choice. But two, I'm going to give you a little piece of advice that I wish someone had given me. When you purchase the color, go ahead and purchase the re-inker because you're going to need it. Like, I was like, no, I'm not going to use these, enough to where I'm going to need to re-ink them. That was not true. And now I am paying the price for that past poor choice. I really need to get the re-inkers. So when I was making my galaxy, I was thinking about the colors that I like to see, and I was really trying to channel the aurora borealis because I just think that is so pretty as far as the night sky goes. So I wanted lots of really bright colors and blues and greens and purples. I've only ever seen pictures of the aurora borealis, so I'm just going off that. If you've ever seen it in person, I would love to know how accurate the pictures are. Maybe leave a comment down in the comments below. That would be fantastic. Now I'm just going to wet that, and I'm going to leave it to dry. I did hit it with a heat gun to kind of expedite things, but typically to get some really nice watermarks, you want to leave it to dry. I'm going to spray the distress resist spray in the bag. That stuff is like liquid embossing powder or embossing ink pad. It's sticky. It's like glue. Glue is the word I'm looking for. This is me trying to be lazy and be really honest. I cut out like just 2 inches off the bottom, and I'm wondering if I can just spray some black soot distress spray over the top so that I don't have to go over the entire piece of paper with distress ink and black soot. I was just trying to be lazy. I'm going to own that. So I was smart and I decided to test it out first. And as you can see, the bottom one looks way better. I was disappointed, and I was really surprised actually that the distress spray covered so well. You can see like it just covered everything. Yep, so we're gonna do it the right way, the authentic way, and cover the entire galaxy background with the black soot. And I'm really glad that I didn't cheat, that I did it, you know, the way that you're supposed to do it. That "supposed to" was in air quotes, by the way, because it looks really nice. Once I have that covered with the black soot, I'm just going to go over it with a lightly damp paper towel and kind of pull up and move around that black soot distress ink and get it down into the parts where they're resistant in spray. I cut it out using my Sizzix tag cutter, and this is when things start to get frustrating. It doesn't fit. It doesn't match the tag that I had. The tag that I'm using to back it with, because we are putting popsicle sticks on it, is one of those distress mixed media tags in a size 8. And it didn't fit, so I'm like, I'm just going to tape it down. Then that happened, and I was like, what the crap? So I picked up a second one. That one stopped working too. And at this point, I'm thinking, maybe I'm not supposed to be making this tag today, because that was just ridiculous that both of my tape dispensers broke back to back. So I had to dig around in my adhesives bucket and find my glue stick. When in doubt, always use glue. And you can see here what I'm talking about. It just didn't fit. I'm wondering why the die is actually smaller than the tag if they're both supposed to be a size 8. I did glue that down, and I'm just going to set that off to the side to dry. Now we're going to paint our candles, also known as popsicle sticks, and I'm not being super careful about this. I just want to make sure that it's completely covered and that you don't see any of the side of the popsicle stick. And I just, again, picked 4 colors that I really enjoy. I'm also not cleaning my brush in between because it doesn't bother me if some of the color carries over. I think it gives it a nice little distress look. I also don't like to paint with a wet brush. I always try to keep my brush as dry as possible. We're going to let those dry and go back to our tag, and now we're just going to trim off the edges and kind of try to tighten that up a little bit. That was a mess. Oh, that's so frustrating. Now we're going to lay down our candles, and I was thinking, oh, I'm just going to cut the popsicle stick. It is way harder to cut a popsicle stick with cheap scissors than one would imagine. I was smart right here. I'm so proud of myself for doing this, because later I'm going to make a poor choice, but not now, not at this point. I used the cut popsicle stick to measure all of the other ones, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut those out. If you're wondering if they did fly up and hit the camera, you would be correct. We don't need to dwell on that. But I'm going to sand down the edges just so there's no little rough splintery bits. I don't want anyone to get a splinter when they handle my gift tag. That would be ridiculous. Like, be careful. I have to put a warning on all of my gift tags. Splinters are possible, as well as inky fingers. Not everybody likes inky fingers. I'm rambling. I apologize. I'm edging each of the makeshift candles in the black soot, and that was just done on the fly. Like, I didn't intend to do that, but it looked really, really pretty. Now I'm going to draw out my flames because I didn't want to fool with trying to find a die or anything like that, and it's just a messy leaf shape. It's the artistic impression of a flame. I'm using some distress markers that I didn't show you in the beginning because I forgot, to edge the outside, and I believe I'm using fossilized amber to put the outside flame edge down, and that's carved pumpkin that I'm just filling out the inside with. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me draw or cut out all 4 of those flames. Once those are cut out, we need to put down our candles. I had originally intended to use 4 candles, and then at this point I was like, there's not going to be enough room for my sentiment. Guess what? There's still not going to be enough room for my sentiment, but Past Shannon at this point doesn't know that. So we're going to glue each one of those down. There is candle number 1, all glued down. Here is candle number 2, all glued down. And here's candle number 3, boom, all glued down. I was trying to time that right. Yeah, I did it. Nailed it. So I'm just checking to make sure that my flames are the right size. And I decide that it doesn't, while it's pretty, it's a nice galaxy background, it needs some stars. And it just, I don't know, it just felt incomplete. So I'm cutting out a little mask. It's just a piece of paper. I've added some acrylic paint to my tonic mat, thinned it out with some water, and I'm using a paintbrush to make splatters. Obviously, you guys can see that. I'm trying really hard not to narrate like I'm reading from a PowerPoint, because that would suck. The worst type of PowerPoint ever. It's art PowerPoint. I'm sorry. We're going to put down our sentiment right now. And I'm going to be really honest. The sentiment for this is a great miracle happened here. That's a twofer because it took me 40 minutes to peel off these letters. I wound up having to cut them in vinyl because the Cricut wouldn't cut the paper, the cardstock. It kept eating it. And it was just, it took forever to get them off. This is when I realized that my word doesn't fit. Because as I mentioned in a previous video, I don't measure anything, and when this happens, I typically just force it. So this is how we fix that. I'm going to run it right down the side. And I was so frustrated with these words at this point. I had to get up and walk away. Like, I had to go pet my dog and do some breathing exercises. My poor dog, he's basically become a crafting support animal because I get so frustrated when I have to fool with fiddly bits, like stuff like this. But I did get them down, and I was so frustrated and just over it. I didn't even really care. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even really care that you can't really see the sentiment. I probably should have backed that so the letters would have popped out or picked a different color vinyl. But at this point, I was committed. This is happening. I'm going to do it. This is when I realized that Miracle needs to be moved over because the flame was covering it up. So I painstakingly peeled up every single one of those little letters, moved them over a fraction of an inch so I could get my frickin' flame to fit. But it worked. It was worth it. Because when I added that little ribbon, not a bow, the tag looks really, really pretty. So that's our tag for night number 7. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.